The Seneca Nation's Health System's GHWIC program and Gakwi Farms are excited to introduce a traditional baby food program beginning with Buffalo Creek squash. The GHWIC program focuses on keeping women and babies safe and healthy, as well as supporting breastfeeding as babies' first foods. As our babies begin to transition to other foods, it is important to provide traditional foods that support Seneca culture and babies' health. Buffalo Creek squash is a Haudenosaunee winter squash variety and is one of the original three sisters. It is called Buffalo Creek squash due to the location in which the squash variety came from, the Buffalo Creek territory of the Seneca Nation. After the squash is carefully harvested, it needs to cure. Curing is the process of exposing the squash to dry heat. It increases sugar content, toughens the skin, and heals any little scuff or scratch. Though there is no current research in the nutritional value of Buffalo Creek squash specifically, we know there are many health benefits to it. Buffalo Creek squash is a type of winter squash with orange skin and a bright orange interior and can be comparable to butternut squash or acorn squash. Squash is full of healthy vitamins and minerals that can help your baby's development. Like other orange-colored fruits and vegetables, squash is full of beta-carotene. Your body converts beta-carotene to vitamin A, which is important for our immune system and eye health. Vitamin C increases iron absorption and supports the body's ability to resist infections. It's high in B vitamins, which supports healthy blood, and is rich in vitamin E for brain development. You can consider this as one of your baby's superfoods. You may be wondering if your baby is ready to start eating foods other than breast milk or formula. They are likely ready when your baby is 6 months old and you notice the following. They can sit up with support and hold their head steady. They put their fingers in their mouth. They open their mouth, letting you know they want food. They close their lips over the spoon. They keep food in their mouth and swallow. If your baby was born early or has a family history of allergies, talk to your healthcare provider before starting any foods. Usually the first food you feed your baby is cereal. After that, single ingredient fruits and vegetables are introduced and prepared in stages, starting with pureed or smooth. From there, you can move on to giving mashed, then on to finely chopped and tiny pieces of soft foods. Be sure to introduce one food a week so that if your baby has any allergies, you will know which food it was. Making your own baby food is easier than you think, and by doing so, you can save money, have control over the variety and texture of food, and be confident you're giving your baby the best food available. However, food safety is important, and you should be sure to be clean. Babies are more likely to get sick from foodborne illness than older children and adults. Before and after preparing baby food, wash hands, utensils, equipment, and work areas with soap and hot water. It is also important to remember the following. Do not add honey to baby's food because it can cause a very serious illness. Do not add salt, sugar, syrups, spices, ketchup, or extra fat, like oil, butter, or cream, to foods prepared for babies. Too much salt can actually be harmful for babies' kidneys. Sugar is harmful because it is refined by a lot of chemical processes, it causes tooth decay, and it may depress immunity. Children fed with a high sugar diet are prone to cardiovascular, diabetes, and obesity. You likely already have the equipment you will need to make baby food, and common cooking utensils can be used to process food into the right texture. Useful utensils include a blender or food processor to puree foods to a very smooth consistency, a fine mesh strainer to puree soft-cooked or very ripe fruits and some vegetables by pushing the food through the strainer with the back of a spoon, baby food grinder or food mill to puree most foods to a smooth texture and puree meats to a coarser texture. A kitchen fork and or knife can be used for older babies, as food can be mashed with a fork or chopped finely with a knife. Other materials you will need include a bowl, large spoon, a cutting board, and a sharp knife. The squash may be hard to cut with a regular knife, so you may want to use a kitchen hacksaw. When ready to begin, preheat the oven to 400 degrees. To prepare the squash, wash fresh squash with clean cold running water, cut ends off of the squash, and then cut in half lengthwise. Remove any seeds, then wash and dry both sides of the squash. Skins and peels that are edible can be removed either before or after cooking. Be sure to use different utensils and cutting boards for animal foods such as meat, poultry, and fish, and non-animal foods such as fruits, vegetables, and breads. Coat a large baking sheet or dish lightly with cooking spray. Place squash halves face down on the baking dish and spray the skins lightly with cooking spray. Bake for 40 minutes or until the outer skin is soft. Remove cooked squash from rind with a spoon and place squash into the mini food processor and blend into a smooth consistency. For a thinner consistency, or to make it more pureed, add breast milk, infant formula, or plain water to the cooked puree. Before serving, allow the food to cool for 10 to 15 minutes so that it does not burn the baby's mouth. Using a clean spoon, test the temperature of the food before feeding it to your baby. For a baby between 4 months and 6 months, 1 to 2 tablespoons is a good amount to offer. And for a baby 6 months to 8 months, 3 to 4 tablespoons is a good place to start. Don't let freshly cooked foods stand at room temperature for more than 2 hours. If considering storing the prepared baby food, you can refrigerate or freeze homemade baby foods immediately after cooking. You will first need to jar, cover, or wrap all foods that are to be refrigerated and label with the date and time they were prepared. Use refrigerated, freshly prepared squash within 48 hours. For freezing the squash in serving size quantities, try one of the following methods. The ice cube tray method. Pour cooked pureed food into ice cube tray, cover with plastic wrap, and freeze. Or the cookie sheet method. Place 1 to 2 tablespoons of cooked pureed food in separate spots on a cooking sheet. Cover with plastic wrap and freeze. Once frozen solid, place frozen food cubes or food pieces in a labeled freezer container. Use frozen food within 1 month. To thaw frozen squash, place in the refrigerator or under cold running water. Do not defrost baby food at room temperature or in standing water. Thawed squash can be stored in the refrigerator for 48 hours. Thoroughly reheat refrigerated baby foods before feeding them to your baby. Stir the food and test its temperature with a clean spoon. Throw out any uneaten leftover food. It is important that you do not refreeze thawed baby food. If you are storing the Buffalo Creek squash itself, the ideal location is one that is very dry with good air circulation. They keep best at 50 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Basements are typically too moist and garages too cool, so spare rooms or closets are good choices. Periodically, monitor for dark squishy spots or shriveling, which indicates spoilage. If properly cured and stored, squashes keep several months or even longer for some of the smaller ones. Nyahweh for your participation in our traditional baby foods program. We hope this experience has provided you increased knowledge and skills to support your baby's health and the Seneca culture. Keep an eye out for future videos and opportunities.